In late 2013, the Masters of the Universe Classics line expanded to include a brand new character called Standor, who, well, was Stan Lee in the Masters of the Universe world. And this led to some excitement, but also some confusion, because, well, Stan Lee has absolutely nothing to do with Masters of the Universe. He never worked on it. He was never an employee of Mattel. He's just a fantastic creator who happens to be responsible for helping to create some of the most memorable pop culture characters that we have today. But the reaction to this character being, shall we say, shoved into the Masters of the Universe line was viewed a lot like the Chewbacca defense, as like, wait a minute, that makes absolutely no sense. Why would you do a Stan Lee figure? I mean, even Jack Kirby made sense because he influenced the line. Well, for most fans, they looked at every single figure as incredibly precious because every figure was a slot, and if we gave a slot away to a figure that wasn't on fans' list, well, that was us misusing the brand, if you will. You know, kind of like putting Mighty Spector in the line. All right, besides that, this led to a lot of emotions from fans, and while it started off as confusion of why they were getting this figure, it soon settled into, well, anger, threats, and let's just say Mattel Security had to review some of my emails. All right, so luckily it didn't go south. It probably could have, and we were able to sort of give an explanation for why we would include an action figure of Stan Lee in the Masters of the Universe line. And this had really nothing to do with Masters of the Universe. It had to do with a much larger program that Mattel as a corporation was doing with Stan. So Stan Lee, after he retired from Marvel, started up a company called POW Entertainment. And this was designed to create brand new comics and characters and all sorts of things. They even published kids' books. I remember when I visited them, they loaded me up with a couple since they knew I had a 3-year-old at home, and they thought it would be cool. And I did. I read her all these cool books written for kids by Stan Lee, and of course I thought it was cool. She had no idea what the heck I was reading. All right, so back to Stan Lee and Mattel. So the idea was, by partnering with Stan Lee's POW Entertainment, Mattel and Stan Lee together were going to create the future of toys, entertainment, action figures. He was going to introduce with Mattel a whole new level of IP and co-create with Mattel all new heroes, villains, toys, and it didn't just have to be action figures, it could have been in any category. And essentially it was Mattel hiring Stan Lee more or less as a consultant to help develop new toys in multiple categories. Games, figures, dolls, wheels, the whole enchilada, the whole Megillah. And we could also utilize his name and this toy brought to you by POW Entertainment. And Mattel Corporate, really wanted to have a giant celebration because they wanted to be able to announce to the world that Stan Lee was partnering with Mattel to create the future of play. And so they could have created any number of toys to commemorate this partnership. They could have made a Hot Wheel. They could have made a Stan Lee Barbie doll. They could have made a Stan Lee Uno game. All sorts of opportunities. But in the end, they felt that since Stan Lee was most associated with boys' action figures, Spider-Man being one of his co-creations, that doing an action figure of Stan Lee made the most sense. And there was definitely a feeling amongst the action figure management that, Stan Lee could be in any line, right? Because all these toy lines are always putting him in it. He's always disguised as different heroes. And I was thinking, I don't think you guys quite understand the way Stan Lee and putting him in content works. It makes sense to put him in content and make action figures based on, like he's in Marvel movies, but you can't just drop Stan Lee into anything. It's not he's not like a universal plug and play. So yes, it makes sense to have a Stan Lee Marvel Legends figure. In fact, this figure was originally going to be a Build-A-Figure that you would collect and connect, but that got scrapped as well, and he just got released as a single figure. But again, makes sense. You're going to celebrate Stan Lee with Marvel. Putting Stan Lee together with Masters of the Universe really only made sense within the context of the POW Entertainment partnership. And because that partnership really never went anywhere, a lot of fans were left thinking, huh? So yes, I made a huge case study to my management at the time that this could potentially kind of bite us in the butt because while it's great to celebrate Stan Lee joining Mattel, or at least, being a consultant, it could backfire because fans could see this, again, as a slot that could have gone to someone else. But needless to say, everyone was very excited to work with him, and myself included. I'm not saying I wasn't. And whether or not this was the right choice for a commemorative item, it was going to solidify the partnership between Mattel and Stan Lee, not Stan Lee and He-Man, if you will. So, but this was just a way of doing something to celebrate this partnership, which, again, unfortunately really didn't go anywhere. So it wasn't putting Stan Lee as like the new major hero of MOTU. Same with Mighty Spector. He wasn't taking over the brand. He was just an extra character, an extra slot. In fact, we were given this extra slot on top of all the Masters of the Universe slots we already had. So it wasn't taking away from anything. It was just an additional SKU. Could have been an additional Hot Wheel, could have been an additional Barbie. Now, to put him in the Classics line, we needed a bio, and Rob David, who is second from the right there, was as the lead MOTU writer, and because this was a high-profile project, he was assigned to write the bio for Stan Lee. And unfortunately, he couldn't make the meeting at POW Entertainment, so then I got drafted to go to the meeting at POW Entertainment with all of his material. So I read his bio, and Stan was like, yeah, no way, we are not doing this. It was full of things like, you know, by the hoary hordes of Hordak, Standor, it was like a lot of Marvel-ish stuff. So I read him my bio, and he fell in love with it. I just pulled it out as a from my back pocket as a second option in case he rejected the official one. Now, while it was great to hear Stan accept my bio and he read it out loud, my biggest regret is I didn't tape this, because here was Stan Lee reading my words. It was amazing. It was one of the coolest moments of my pop culture life, and the bio that I wrote was basically putting Standor, the character, as kind of one of the quasi-gods that helped create the Masters of the universe. This way it took him out of the main He-Man Skeletor battle and sort of put him on more of a cosmic scale. So we were set to premiere the figure at LA's Kamikaze Comic-Con, which was Stan Lee's official show, if you will. They were also partnering with Stan Lee. So, you know, hand in glove, it all made sense. So with him approving my bio, it got slapped on package, put into production, and shipped out to the convention to sell. And then additional units would be sold on MOTU Collector. Now, one of the other obstacles we hit was we were told by Stan Lee's people that we couldn't create any content or artwork of this character. But at the same time, Kamikaze asked us to create the cover for their program, which we did. And when POW Entertainment saw this, they absolutely flipped out. And we're like, we told you no artwork. And we're like, okay, yes, we know no artwork, but your convention told us to create the cover. And it was like, oh my God, what do I do? Here I have the Kamikaze convention asking me to create art for the cover, and here I have Stan Lee's people at POW Entertainment telling me I can't create any artwork. What do I do? I don't want to be in, this is not what I signed up for. All right, so they were okay with that. They're like, all right, as long as it's limited and only used as the cover for a convention that Stan is helping to run, that's okay. So we got permission to go forward with the cover, and that's why this is the only official artwork. And, you know, yes, it looks like blue skin Stan Lee, and it did give us some new parts too. New armor, new helmet, new glasses, which we kind of thought maybe eventually we would use on someone, but yeah, no one ever got these parts used. But hey, not a bad idea to have some shades in the old tooling bank if you wanted to do, like, you know, Tropical Vacation Beastman. So yeah, that's how Stan Lee became Standor, and how my bio wound up becoming the backup bio that he used. I still regret that I did not record him reading it. Hearing my bio, some words I wrote in his voice, just, I mean, it was amazing. It was like watching Spider-Man and his amazing friends come to life. And still, I'm glad that I got to meet him. It was absolutely a thrill, and I hope you guys enjoyed the toy. As well as this video giving a little background about why Stan Lee was in a Masters of the Universe line. Oh, and by the way, yes, besides from the original bio that got rejected, the original name was going to be Excelsior, which also, again, Stan was like, no, you can't do that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's how Standor and the backup bio became the official Masters of the Universe name. Crazy world. Excelsior!